So yeah, please keep your video on as always. All right. All right. So we're gonna look to get started. Call, I see you. Any other videos coming on? Not yet. Okay. If anyone comes in late, they're late, so they can follow up later. Okay, so today we're gonna go through spine, hips, and also hamstrings. Now, for the main part of what we're gonna look to do is first, our assessment is gonna be a straight leg raise test, okay? So we're gonna do that first before we actually even warm up. So we're gonna start off lying down on our back straight away. So with your assessment right now, once you lie down on your back, the first thing you wanna do is try to compress in. So you're pulling your belly button in and you're trying to flatten out the space underneath your spine, okay? I'll show you once and then I'll take a look as you guys do it with me. Hands are gonna stay on the floor, feet are gonna stay flexed. We will all do our right side first. So with this one, all we're looking to do is actively pull our leg up and see how far we can go with a straight leg, okay? So you're not allowed to do this, no bending of the knee. It's all about flexing completely, keeping both legs straight and left calf is touching the floor. So pull the leg as far in as you can, okay? So everyone come into that position now. Amelia, why are you watching TV? All right, so we're gonna pull the right leg in as high as you can. And now take note as to where it is in the space. You might feel like you wanna go further, but then your knee's gonna bend in order to get there. So we're not looking at hip flexion, we're looking at your hamstrings as the assessment today. Start to pull it in, and hold. Once you hold that there, you freeze for 3, 2, 1. Now use your hands, hold on to your calves, and if you cannot reach your calves, just go from behind the thigh. We're gonna now relax the leg, keep the left leg on the floor, but pull that leg in as far as you can go now. So keeping the knee straight, you start to pull your leg in as far as it can go as you keep the rest of your back on the floor. Good, hold it there. 3, 2, 1. So this right here is your passive range of motion. So the more you can pull this leg in, now we're gonna work one more active range just to see how far we can keep it here. You pull it to the deepest point. Now squeeze both quads, left leg, right leg straight. Now let go of the hand and see how much you can keep that as close as you can to your body for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly let that go. So we'll revisit that in the end again. So that's your right leg. We'll go straight over to your left leg before we come into our spine next. So once again, completely cold. Bring your left leg up towards the sky. Good. So once you're there, lock out your right knee. Everything stays put on the floor. And once you're there, you start to pull it in as much as you can actively. Good. Don't hold your breath so close. Your face is going red. Good. Hold that there. All right. Now pull in as much as you can. Cole, are you cramping already? Not yet. Hold there. Hold there. Hold there. Stay. Hip flexor. Stay. And good. Now reach with your hands. Let go of the contraction. Pull the leg in as much as you can. You keep your knees straight. Your right leg is active. You're driving your right heel into the ground. You're keeping your lower back on the floor. You're looking up at your ankle as you continue to bend your elbows to pull your leg in tighter. Keep your left knee locked for 3, 2, and 1. This time, keep both quads active and let go. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And good. Let that go. Ooh, okay. Coming straight into our spine now. So that was our assessment. We'll come back to that at the end. Now, when you're in this one, you don't have to have socks on. I've just got them on because there is one exercise that maybe you want socks on for, but it's optional, okay? So we're gonna start off on all fours now. We're gonna come into our spine cars. Now this is all about the lumbar spine first, because a lot of the time when it comes to hamstrings, for those of you who joined me for the last one, you notice that your hamstrings get unlocked by moving your spine. So a lot of the time with this movement here, most people don't know how to control the lower spine. So we're gonna work to break this down. Hands are gonna stay on the floor. underneath your shoulders. Keep a soft bend in your elbows and make sure your elbows are spiraling backwards. Then from here, your knees are underneath your hips and your toes are gonna stay pointed. The first movement you wanna do is think of drawing your tailbone up towards the sky without moving anything else. So only your tailbone, but don't lose the contraction through the arms and try not just to drop the belly down, okay? So notice how my upper body doesn't move. It's just the lower spine. Hold. Now think of the muscles just above the tailbone squeezing to contract in order to pull your hips up even higher. For 3, 2, pull, 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 pull. And good. Now to control it on the other way out, you squeeze your bum and start to scoop your tailbone under as far as it can go without changing any other part of your upper spine. So you're not coming into a cat shape, you're just moving the lumbar spine into spinal flexion. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Then again, untuck, tailbone only. Try not to relax your belly as you do it. We're just gonna do 3 reps here. Hold that here for 3, 2, 1, and then again, scoop the tailbone under, hold. So again, upper body doesn't move, you're drawing your belly in, you're squeezing your bum, everything is in tight. Spinal mobility is one of those things that's super underrated. And again, last one out. And I've started to notice since I've been training my trainers up and really picking apart our form. And come back under. And the one thing that I've started to see is how rigid a lot of their lumbar spines are, considering how mobile they are. It's actually quite surprising to see that there's no movement through the lower spine. So now from here, we're gonna link it back up with the mid spine. So now as we arch the back, tailbone drives up, the belly drops down further. Now you allow your rib cage to come down a little bit more. Not a full one yet, so we don't involve the shoulders yet. Now from here, scoop the tailbone under, pull, pull, pull until you start to round the mid back. So you should feel your stomach working even harder here. Then come back out, untuck, belly drops down. Really push your butt bones up towards the sky. So it's like your butt cheeks want to go all the way up towards the sky. Good, then scoop the tailbone under, all the way into your mid back again. So you're coming into that spinal flexion again. Now we're gonna link it up with the upper spine. So from here, we're gonna continue to press and now come into your cat. You drop your chin to your chest and you look at your own belly button, hold. As we untuck, we move from the tailbone. Tailbone first, your head moves last. So as you move your tailbone up towards the sky, you really push your butt up as far as it can go first. Now your belly starts to drop down. Don't move your hands or your shoulders. Your belly drops. Now the chin comes up. Last to find your full spinal extension. From here, be careful not to throw your head back. You can see how that changes my voice. So lengthen your neck as opposed to choke it. Good. Then from here, as you scoop your tailbone under, go back all the way, segment by segment. Imagine every single vertebrae moving on its own as you draw your belly in, curling your chin to your chest and looking at your belly. Then again, tailbone first. The amount of control and focus required is very, very high. And that's also why we move even slower to make sure you are feeling it from the right spots, coming all the way back up and learning to kind of harness that brain-body connection. Good, scoop the tailbone one last time. Coming all the way in to your cat shape. Belly to spine, chin to chest, forehead towards the floor. Sorry, crown of the head. And then again, untuck the tailbone, scoop the tailbone up towards the sky this time. And all the way up. Good, come back into neutral. And then we're just gonna move side to side. So we worked through flexion and extension. Now we're just gonna go laterally. So all you wanna do now is think of bringing your shoulder towards your hip. So the more you can turn without necessarily, again, dropping into anywhere else. You wanna turn, 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 turn. Go 3 times on each side. While you crunch into one side, you're pushing through the other side to stretch out the opposite side. Good, one last one each side. And all the way out. And good. Now from here, we're gonna link this up with our lower spine mobility into rotation again. So we're gonna bring our hands down to the floor. We're gonna bring our belly all the way down. So for this one's a prone scorpion. It's a little bit different to how I've done some of the other stuff. I've linked it up with a little bit more of like a flow style, but we're gonna link everything back up with the strength-based mobility in a second as well for our hamstrings. So from here, your hands are gonna stay underneath your shoulders. Your chin's gonna stay down on the floor and you're gonna look straight down. Now we're all gonna squeeze our butt to tuck our tailbone under first. Then we're gonna bring the right heel towards the right bum cheek. You don't have to point your foot. You can do whatever you want with the foot. Now from here, think of lifting your entire right thigh off the floor. So you've got hip extension. Good. And then we want to think of external rotation of the knee as you slowly bring that leg behind the body. Hold here. You're opening into your lumbar spine. You can look towards the right-hand side now. Good. Slowly come back in. Draw that knee up and over towards it comes back to the floor again. Okay, so we'll work the same side first. It's a bit of hip mobility linked with spinal mobility. So the reason why I'm saying the terminology is because from here, it becomes extension as I lift my thigh up. Then I externally rotate my thigh bone until I can slowly bring that leg behind me and lift my knee up as high as it can go. This is the first part of it, and then we will build upon it, okay? Come back all the way in. We're gonna go 5 times per side and all the way down. You keep your hands where they are here because this is a part of the other one. So instead of thinking of a prone crucifix, it's a little bit different today. So again, right knee up, lift, go all the way over, feeling your outer right hip working here, and then all the way back down. Good, last 2, and thigh up, external, all the way over, and all the way back down. Good, last one. Keep the control of the movement, up and over, and all the way back down. So now we change to the other side, right leg down, left leg up. As you pull your left leg in, we're now gonna lift the thigh up, external rotation, push all the way into your scorpion tail, and then all the way up and around, back down. Wrap number 2 up, open, all the way out. Keep pressing through your hands, open the knee up, lift, all the way back down. 3 to go, up, open, all the way around, and then all the way back down. Good, 2 to go, and up, open, all the way down, and all the way back down. That's it. Nice, Johnny. So if you're really stiff to the lower back, obviously your foot might not touch the ground. That's fine. From here up, open, last one all the way down, and all the way back in again. Relax that back down. Just take a breather. So you can watch for the next one as I show you the progression from here. So we're gonna go from a scorpion tail. So we lift, open. Now this time I'm gonna press through my hands to find this position here. So I've just moved my right hand off the floor. My left hand has stayed the entire time. So we're gonna work 3 on each side before we do an alternating one. Okay, so from here, we draw the right foot towards the bum again. As you open up, it's the exact same movement, open, but now as you turn, even if you couldn't actually touch the floor, that's no problem. You push through the hands to open and bring your right hand up. Good. Then again, slowly bring it back down, open the knee up, all the way back down. Good, 1 more like that, really good, and up, open, all the way, press through the hands, right hand comes up. You try to bring your right foot as close to your bum as possible, then all the way back down. So that's how you work your hips here at the same time, and lift that knee up all the way over and all the way down. So the slow control is what we're after. So Johnny, if you're collapsing down, don't worry, you're not alone, but we try and move as slowly as possible. Left leg towards your bum now, hands stay underneath, and that's why the hands stay here. Now as you lift, you open, you press through the hands, right hand stays down as you roll onto your bum. Good, then again, slowly bring that knee up and over, all the way down, and good. And then again, up, you got it, Amelia. Open, all the way sit on your bum. Good. And then last one, all the way back down. This will probably be the only kind of flow bit, and the rest of it will go back into individual drills. Up and open, all the way up, and all the way back down. Now, last bit of the progression here. Make sure you've got enough grip through your feet. So from here, we're gonna go right leg up. Same thing, I'm gonna go all the way to here. Now from here, I'm gonna drive through my right leg, and that's when I actually come up to lift my hips up. You spiral the left shoulder open and you come into a slight back extension here before you come back down. Bring the hand back down and come back onto your belly. That wasn't such a smooth transition, but basically when you come from here, lift, you should actually bring your hand back down here and then you can slowly lower back down. Okay, we're just gonna do 3 on each side again, and then we're coming back into individual drills. So adding the strength with the linking of the movements, creating fluidity. We'll start with the right side, bend the knee, extend the hip, external rotation. As you bring your foot behind you, you automatically lift your right hand up. From here, you drive through your right heel and your left outer foot to lift your hips up and look over your left shoulder. Try not to go into a full wheel. You just wanna look to the left side. Now from there, bring the right hand back down to the floor. Find your plank. Good. And then from here, you lower back down. Nice. Left side, left leg bends, up and over. Find your half squat. Lift up. Reach. Good. Hand back down. Find your plank. And then lower. Obviously, if the push-up is too hard, you just drop your knees down to lower. It doesn't have to be a full push-up. Right leg up and over, open, foot down, press up, push your hips up as high as you can to create more extension, lower back down, all the way, and down. Nice, left leg up. So if this one's a little bit too hard for you, I'll give you a regression from here. Everyone else keep going. So from here, we come up. From this position, you might want to just keep your hand here and just come into a side plank only. You only go into the extension if you feel okay through your arm and through your core. Then from here, you can always sit back down and just come back down any other way you want as well. Okay, so it just requires less strength there, but if you feel up for the progression, stick with the progression. All the way up and over, last one on this side. As you bridge up, push through your left arm, hold. Now this time, open your chest up more towards the ceiling. Good. And then bring it back down. And then again, all the way down. Nice work. All right. So from there, we're going to flip on over onto our back. Did I miss one? Oh, I missed one. So we got one more on the other side. Last one on this side. Then from there, up and over. And then again, drive up, reach. Again, open your chest up even further this time. Open up your right shoulder. Then from there, hand back down, plank. Nice, Ma, just lift your hips up higher and then all the way down. Yeah, and good. Awesome. So from there, if you want a quick sip of water, you can grab one. We're gonna go onto our back again for this next bit. So a little bit more thoracic mobility now. So as we're in our bridge, we're lying down on our back. We're gonna keep our hands by our hips, palms facing up. As I come up to the top of my bridge here, I'm just looking to squeeze my hips. Don't worry about back bending so much. I want you to think of pulling your ribs down. Then from here, as my right hand is on the floor, I want to hide my shoulder underneath. I want to reach my left arm up and over towards the right top corner. Then I come back in, I replace the hand, and again, reach. I realize that I got cut off in the video there, so I'll show you on this side. My left hand is under my body inside my left heel. My right arm reaches up. I roll over and I really want to keep my hips where they are as I move my upper spine towards the left-hand side. Good. And then come back in and down. So I'm hiding my hands in between my heels, like my fingertips. Once again, left hand up, reach, roll over, stretch. And then again, back in, through, other side. Reach across. We're just doing 3 on each side. Really roll over the shoulder. Come back in. Last one. Up and over. Stretch across. Now squeeze your hips higher. Drive through your heels. Roll back onto your back. And then one last one. All the way up and over. And all the way back in. And down. Okay, hopefully you're a bit warmer now. We're going into our first hamstring drill, which is going to be a bit more of a hamstring lengthening exercise, so training your end ranges. So if you remember what it looked like earlier for your end range when you pulled your leg in, most of us stopped here. Then when we started to pull in deeper, we went a lot further. But when you let go, a lot of the time there was a bounce back. So we're going to try and see if we can work the strength first before we work the length. So finding your glute bridge again. While we stay on our back, the next one will be finding more length. I want you to extend your feet a little bit more. So now it's almost like you're coming into a straight leg bridge. In this position here, I'm lifting my toes up and I only want my heels on the ground. I want to imagine I've got a block between my thighs. We're not going to use a prop, but you want to try and imagine there is a block there. Palms face up. And now I'm going to lift up into a bridge by scooping my tailbone and coming into a hamstring bridge here. It's a much more extended bridge. So already I can feel my hamstrings firing. Now the sensation that I want to feel is the scooping of the tailbone. Oh my gosh, my hamstrings are going to cramp soon. Scooping of the tailbone. Drive your heels down and think of pulling the heels to your bum now for 5 seconds and go. So fire your hamstrings up like crazy for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slowly come back down. Straighten the legs, shake it out. We're building from 5 seconds to 10 seconds to 15 seconds and finally up to 20. If it cramps, please try and push through. Bend the knees a little bit, bring it closer to your bum, good. And then from here, scoop, curl, lift up. Again, you're thinking of scooping your tailbone as much as you can. Squeeze the imaginary block between your knees, palms stay up. If you want to drive your palms into the floor, try to really push the pinky side down instead as you make fists, giving yourself full body tension here. Once again, drive through your heels. Think of curling the heels towards your bum now as you squeeze everything in for 10, 9, you should be shaking, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and slowly come back down, straighten the legs and shake it out. Now for some of you guys, I can see your legs are pretty bent. Straighten them out a bit further. Johnny, nods, you can straighten out further as well. Colleen, I won't make you because I see the pain on your face. But Amelia, I cannot see the pain on your face, but I see your knees are too high. So everyone come on up and scoop. Good. Extend the legs even further, like you really want to straighten your legs out now. Even further. You two quads. Keep going. Good. Now, from here, drive your heels down. Nice nods. Lift your hips up higher. Drive more through the heels. Now think of curling your heels towards your bum now. Don't let anything else move. Curl your feet in like you want to slide them on the ground now. 15 seconds. 2. Squeeze your butt more, quads. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 5 more seconds. 5. Squeeze your butt harder. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come back out. Holy fiery hamstrings. Good. Last one's going to be the hardest one yet. 20-second hold. If your feet feel like they're about to go, you put your feet into a position which feels most comfortable for you, but you have to drive through your heels here. Last one, to make it even harder, just because it's our last one altogether, we're going to bring our hands up. Set your feet up. So it's only a micro bend in the knees. So bend, straighten your legs a little bit more. Yeah, good. Now, once you're here, you punch through the sky. You protract your shoulders, crush the lower belly down, and you're prepared already to reach your pelvic tilt. And now you squeeze to come up. Slide your feet in without using your hands. So slide them in, hold, and lift. So you actively pull it in, and that's the sensation that you want. Push the rib cage down, come up, call 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze the knees closer. 6, 7. Punch your shoulders even more. 8, 9. Straight arms. 10. Now hold there. Slide your ankles back out again and hold. Squeeze everything in for 10, 9, 8. Butt tighter. 7, 6, 5. Harder. 4, 3, 2, and all the way down. And let that go. Nice. All right, we're gonna flip back over, this time into a half lunge position. If you have sensitive knees, feel free to put a pillow underneath your knees here. This one is all about the length of the hamstrings now. So we're building towards our front split, but don't worry, we don't have to be able to do the split to get there. So we're gonna go for like this long stance lunge. Okay, so right heel is gonna come onto the floor, and we're gonna slide into our longest lunge possible as we keep our back toes tucked under. Okay, so even longer, feel your hips open up. Yeah, find support, maybe use a wall if you know that you're not very flexible through your hips. The range will vary completely across the board, okay? So as we keep the hips square, push your left hip forward using your hands. Then squeeze your left bum cheek and keep your left hip as low to the ground as possible as you keep your heels in the sky or toes tucked under. Good. Now from here, we're gonna slowly inch the right foot forward. So this is where I like to use socks because I can slide out. Good. Now from there, keeping that active hold, squeeze through the back leg a little bit more and drop the left hip lower. Don't let this right leg straighten yet. So we're focusing on the back hip flexor first. Hold that position there, maybe slide out a little bit more. Good. When you found your edge in your back hip flexor, now we can bring the hands down towards the floor. I'm sliding my knee back even further, and now I want to slowly, keeping my right knee bent, I'm going to come on out to my best front split possible, but don't drop your hips yet. So even if you can come to the splits, don't do it. Push your left hip forward as far as you can. Drive your right heel down with a micro bend in your right knee and hold that here. Good. So now we're going to go through a Pales Rails from this contraction, which you guys are going to hate. Now from this position, the driving down of the heel is the Pales contraction, like you want a hamstring curl back in. The Rails contraction is when we slide on out deeper in towards that split, okay? So don't go into the split yet. You keep your hips square first and foremost. Now from here, driving into your right heel, front leg, pushing down. So left leg for you, Johnny. Push your heel down, go push, push, push. Go at about 80% now, start to drive down a little bit harder, 9, 10. And now I want you to try and think of sliding your heel out further to deepen your split, but don't let your left hip come to the floor yet. So you press into the floor, slide deeper, pull your body forward for 3, 2, 1, then drive back down through the right heel. Good. And now this time, think of lifting your back knee up if you can for 3, 2, 1, and then slide out deeper. Don't let the leg come to the ground. Hold that there for 3, 2, 1. One last one. Drive through the right heel even more for 3, 2, 1, and then slide it out deeper into your split now for 3, 2, 1, and then just relax. This time, you're going to untuck the back toes, going into a passive hold now. Wherever you are, you want to fold deeper into the front leg now. So turn your hips a little bit more. Bring your left shoulder over your right knee. So you actually have to turn a little bit more, closing that gap, and stay. The heart rate creeps up with this one. The sweat starts to pour out here as well. Keep your hips square, Amelia. Slide your foot down further. Call, I think you can go deeper as well. Good, just for 3, 2, and go to your deepest point now, maybe folding over, bringing your elbows closer to the ground, maybe moving your prop further forward towards your ankles. That's it, Johnny. He's like crying. Hold that here just for the last 10 seconds. Roll over your left hip. So roll the weight into the left side now for 5, 4, that's it, Claude. Go down deeper. 3, 2, and 1. Now, however you need to come out, take your time and come on out. And good. Nice work, everyone. So we went, you can use help. Help your partner if they need help coming out of that. All right, just coming back into a half butterfly. So my right knee is on the ground. My left leg that was stretched behind me, we're gonna kind of get a little bit more blood flow through the joint. So just leaning your weight to the right side and just move your left knee out and in, out and in, and then just one more out and in. So you're just offloading the hip a little bit after all of that stretch. And good. Nice. From there, we're going to slowly come on over to the other side. So bring your knee back in. And you're going to prepare for the other side. So if you're quite traumatized by that, wipe it from your memory. Because Johnny, you do look like you're hating life right now. Now from here, we're going to bring the left leg forward. Once again, we're going to work to slide the back knee as far as we can first. So now it's looking at your right hip flexor, toes stay tucked under, and your left hamstring that we're going to work here. Good. So keep your right toes tucked under a little bit more. Good. Nice call. Now bring that the foam roller a bit closer to your leg so you square your hips more, because otherwise our tendency is to open into the right hip. We want to square the right hip as much as we can. So everyone turn your torso a little bit more to the left. Good. When you think you've slid open to your furthest point for your right hip here, so you get that big pulling sensation through the right front of the hip, start to walk the knee further forward. So the left knee starts to slide. You can slide on your heel, you can slide on your whatever you need. You can keep it flat-footed, whatever you prefer. Now drop down a little bit more. Keep the hips square. Hold that position there. Just slowly ease into it. You can move your back knee back as well if you have more space, but you keep the micro bend in the left knee. Good, staying right there. Still rolling a little bit more over your left side now. So you want to turn your shoulders a little bit more to the left. Good, now from here, go to your deepest point where you can still apply force into the floor. So we're gonna start to drive the heel down again, thinking of that pales contraction. So now we're gonna start to drive the heel down at about 80%. So try to fire up your hamstring here for 3, 2, 1. Now slide deeper into your split for 3, deep in the stretch, 2, 1. And again, drive your heel down, pull it in like you wanna pull your heel to your bum for 3, 2, 1. And then again, slide deeper for 3, 2, 1. One more time, drive down. And as you drive your heel down, pull your right hip forward. So drive down to lengthen, but pull your right hip forward. Come on, Nads, you can go further with that left leg. Go deeper, go deeper. You can do it, go deeper. And good, stretch further, sink into it. Go, 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 go for 3, 2, and 1. Just letting go of the contraction, maybe pointing your back toe now. Look to turn your torso a bit more to the left, holding this position. You roll over your right hip as much as you can to close your hips up, as opposed to letting your hips just sit open. It's easier to find a split that way, but you actually cheat a bit of the back hip range. So again, turn your torso some more, maybe even lift yourself higher to roll into it. So you stretch more inner hamstring of the left leg and then top of the hip flexor of the right leg. Don't worry, we're nearing the end. Good, from there, we're gonna slowly come down to our deepest point now, bringing your elbows a little lower if you're on the floor, or maybe you bring your props further forward. Keep sliding them over so you can lengthen through the lower spine again. So remember, once you pull your belly button further down your leg, the more you actually open your hamstrings. Just holding it here for another 3 deep breaths. Don't give me that look, Claude. 2. And 1, good. And good, all right. Slowly bring yourself back up again. And then again, come out however you need, but we're gonna find that half butterfly for the back leg again. So as I slide my left heel in, I'm gonna slowly bring my right foot in as well. And again, I'm just gonna look to move this hip left and right. Good. Do what you need to give yourself a little bit more space. So we're gonna do a pigeon stretch before we come back into our straight leg assessment, okay? So we're opening up through the hips again to actually help open up through the lower back a little bit more before we come into our assessment again. So to start with, again, if you've got really tight hips, get a cushion or a block handy because you might need to sit on it. We're gonna start back on our right leg now. So if you have knee issues, you might wanna elevate your leg as well. The twisting sensation required through the front knee here is actually quite high. And most people forget that your knee is actually capable of tibial rotation, which is why we can sit cross-legged, for example. But when our ligaments are tight and everything surrounding the joint is tight as well, that's when often people are like, I can't, it feels like it's gonna rupture. So don't push through that. Make sure you're listening to your body. So we have 2 versions for your pigeon. Pigeon number 1, if you've got really tight hips, stay with the back leg bent. You don't have to worry about the back leg at all. So it's almost like a 90-90, but a slightly more open 90-90 base. For those of you who are more okay to open your hips up and want to go further, hold onto your left foot. Right hand is outside the right knee. And now we pivot onto the back toes to roll the hips over. So I'm actually pressing through my right hand to bring my left kneecap towards the floor. And you can see here, I'm trying as best as I can to square my hips up. Even if you're really tight through the hips, you can still do a pigeon if you've not got knee issues. So I would put a pillow underneath my bum cheek, and I would do the same thing here to help lift up so that I can roll this hip forward. Okay, so choose your variation. We're gonna hold this one for quite some time. So once you're into it, you're gonna use your breath to slowly sink into it. So once we're in this position, keep the toes tucked under. Don't point the toes. You keep the toes tucked and you're gonna straighten the knee out. Locking your back knee completely, hold. Now, as we lean forward, it's not about what you see in pictures. It's not just a fold over passively. We're gonna stay active. We're gonna push the left hip forward, roll onto the inner right bum cheek. Keeping the left knee off the ground, now we hinge from the lower spine. So I wanna think of my chest coming to the top of my mat here. Hold this position here. We're gonna hold actively with the back knee off the ground for just 20 seconds, and then we're gonna sink into it for 20 seconds. So let's bring your right foot up higher. Nope, that's your back foot, your right foot, front foot. That one, yeah. So slide it more open, I see you. So slide it more open and continue to press through the right hand to put more weight into the left hip. Back knee is still off the ground just for 3, 2, 1. Now drop the back knee, point the toe and roll over a little bit more. So press through the right hand and lean over your ankle. So rather than this side, Johnny, go the other side. Good. Yeah, Fitz, help her out. Push her lower back down. Good. Good. For 3, 2, 1. And same thing. Keep pressing through the right hand. Turn your torso more now to the left-hand side. So your shoulders are turning to the left for the last 20. Now feel that twisting change through the hip. It should be deepening, almost like a corkscrew effect through that right hip. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Slowly shift your weight back out of that. We're going to come straight away into a half butterfly here as you keep your leg in. Just to get a little bit more into your lower spine again before we transition to the other side, you're going to press your right hand into your right inner thigh. Left hand is going to stretch behind you, and all you're doing is trying to press but open into the right hand side here. If you have more space, of course, you can go for the leg. You can grab onto whatever you need and maybe even push into your lower back to open further. If you don't feel anything with your hand on your thigh here, bring your hand to your lower back, and then again, peel the shoulders open, and you look up towards the right-hand side, look to the sky. One more thing with this one, again, is not about crunching down. It's about keeping your spine long. So you're actually pulling from the right hip downwards, and your head is all the way going upwards. And again, to intensify this, if this is not enough for you, most of you guys actually are good to stay here because I see rounded spines. Open up the chest a little bit further and feel this come through your right lower spine here in towards the QL. Peel the right rib cage back a little bit further, open your right shoulder further, maybe even push the elbow behind you. For 3, 2, and 1. And nice, slowly roll back down. And we're gonna come over to the other side now. So all you need to do is bend your left knee, slide to the other edge of your mat. You can choose to stay in your 90-90, or you can choose to extend that back leg. So again, the back leg extension is important, but you can see here, I haven't turned my thigh inwards enough. In order to get more out of this stretch here, I need to actually lift my left hip up, and this is how much tighter my left side is compared to my right. So I'm gonna roll my right heel outwards as I stay here. And for the first part here, I'm just working to keep that 90-degree angle of my front hip. And breathe. So with every single breath, every single exhale, you try to sink your hip down a little bit lower. Try to think more of sinking your right hip down, not your left hip. Just roll the right hip forward a little bit more. Nice work. Deepening into the stretch. Maybe eventually it starts to come down towards the floor, but your back knee is still off the ground. For 3, 2, and soften the back knee, point the right toes, start to sink. So again, you're pressing through your left hand, you're extending your spine forward as far as you can go, but you're not folding over yet. Hold. Squeezing the right bum cheek to continue to press your right hip down as you pull your left hip back. 5, 4, 3. Press through the left hand, 2. And 1. Last one, turn the shoulders to the right as you continue to press. So maybe if you've got more space now, you can reach your arms across to the right-hand side, but don't let this foot slip down. So you might need to anchor it. As you turn your body, roll the right hip over a little bit further. For 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come back out. And good. Take your time, bringing yourself back into a half butterfly on the other side. So again, right leg straight, left leg bent. Good. From here, we're going to go straight in. Hand to your lower back. You can choose whatever option you had just now, but remember, it's all about opening the chest up. If you find that compressing the foot is too much for you, you can leave it further out as well, and you'll still get a similar effect. But if your foot is out here, I would suggest pressing into your knee, because otherwise it'll want to come up here. Okay, so wherever you are, if you want to choose another variation, it's up to you, but we want to target the left lower back now. So that is where you're going to try and play around to get the stretch. You need to pull into your right arm to pull the spine in that direction, but then you also need to pull through the left hip back down. And then at the same time, you peel the left rib cage back open, keeping the hand behind you, pulling the left elbow behind you, hiding it behind your spine. Look up towards the sky, look up towards the ceiling. Breathing. Three more breaths. And out, sink deeper. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. And out. I see you guys are following Ben. Don't worry, you're gonna come back out now. And good. Last one from there, we're back onto our back for our last assessment. So again, you should feel a little bit more open after holding all of that towards the end there. So from there, as we lie down on our back, a lot of it is just a subjective measure right now, unless you have a camera there and you can look back at the video to compare. But realistically, we just want to see how you feel in comparison to the start. Okay, so it's just how you feel. Palms down, palms up, sorry, knuckles down, straight arms. Flex your feet, tuck your tailbone under, and now we're gonna work the right side again. So from there, just pull that right leg as far up as you can and see, does that feel any easier, harder? It should never really feel easier, but maybe you can go deeper. Go for 3, 2, and 1. Grab onto the ankle or the shin, whatever you held onto earlier. And then again, start to pull that leg in. Relax any contraction. Just try to pull your leg in as close to your chest as you can. Just relax, even your left leg. Forget about squeezing anything. Good. If you're holding onto your thigh, start to walk your hands up a little higher towards your calves. Your spine might round a little bit, but you can get a deeper stretch here. Good. Last one from here. Squeeze the quads, hold everything in. And we're gonna let go of the hands and go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold on again. Last big pull, pull it in as close as you can. And good, change sides. Left leg up. Now remember, straight legs, palms up, and go. Push your right thigh down towards the floor. Pull your left leg in as tight as you can without rounding the upper spine here. For 5, lock your knee. 4, even more, lock it out, call. 3, 2, and 1. Grab onto the ankle, the shin, the calf, whatever you want. Pull in as much as you can. Let go of the contractions. Try not to fight it. Good. Now from there, squeeze everything in tight. Pull it in as tight as you can. And then now we're gonna let go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 5, grab on, and now pull to your deepest length, deepest range, pull it in for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly let that go. Spring your feet as wide as the mat now, bending your knees, and all we're just gonna do is floss through the hips one more time. So just moving your knees left and right, left and right. No real form to this, just loosen it all up. Nice work. That actually brings us to the end of today's class. So as always, there's a Q&A at the end if you want to ask questions about any of the exercises. But otherwise, if you've got to go enjoy your dinner time. Thanks as always for tuning in. I'm going to hang around now. If you guys do have questions, don't be shy. Paul, I know you have a question. Go on. Bye, Ma. I don't think you have a question. I think you're just staring. Bye. All right. Hit me, Call.
It's more like the lower lumbar spine. You know when you said move your tailbone?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You said, so when you go, you clench your butt and then you curl down.
Clench your butt and curl down, yeah?
Yeah, and then when you go up, you
unclench, but you squeeze your lower back.
Okay.
So a lot of it actually comes from, even if I were to do it from a standing position here, when I'm actually clenching to squeeze under, I squeeze my butt, but I want to curl, curl, curl. So if you watch how my hips are trying to come forward, right? As I'm going the other way around, I actually want to untuck and go, go, go without moving this part. So I would lock my body in place and really focus on this part of my spine and then come back out. It's easier in a quadruped position though, because when you're here, you've got more access to it. When you're standing up, it's a bit harder because your hips are already in extension. So from here, what I would try and practice is really try and like drop this part down. So your lower belly down, not the belly button. Okay, so underneath the belly button, that whole region wants to come down, but it's the muscles through the lower spine here that need to squeeze to shorten, because that's the action of it. That's how I get more hip extension. Sorry, lumbar spine extension. And as I come under, you can see how I start to squeeze my bum here. I'm flattening out my lower back. And as I come, that's the part here that I need to work on. Most of the time, people actually have excess lordosis, which is why they sit with their spines that way. But other times, I've also seen a lot of spines that are actually more in this position. And very commonly, actually, it's because of people who sit for long periods of time nowadays with their work. So when they actually stay in this position all the time, it's like your spine just decides, you know what, that's the daily requirements of my body. So I'm going to get used to doing that. So it becomes more efficient in that position. But that's why a lot of times that extension tends to be quite hard for people. So they're constantly here. So when it comes to like a deadlift, if you're watching the hips here, a lot of the time in deadlifts, for example, people don't know how to hinge their hips enough. And when they actually do so, they kind of go like this. And that's like a very rounded position of their spine, right? And that's where lots of lower back injuries come out of deadlifting as well, because they haven't got their spine in the right position. It depends on the actual anatomical makeup of your spine as well. Some people have that genetically, but the main thing is when you can learn to move the hip movement a little bit better, you tend to have less accompanying injuries or less compensatory injuries that come about it. So I think for yours, you're very, very stiff through your lower back. Like your hamstrings have more, your hamstrings have more length. I remember that from last time as well. Your hamstrings have more length, but because you don't know how to move the lumbar part of your spine, I would just practice that daily and just almost think of, you can do it from this position. Remember when we broke it apart last time? You stay with your head on your hands, point your toes, and then just focus on this and curl under. Even if you end up coming into here, that's fine. But you want to focus on the lower part first. The second thing you can do is create blocks by putting like a block underneath your rib cage, so you cannot move your rib cage. But I guess like,
right.
I know my mom's still here. She's just hidden her camera. But basically, you want to be as sexy as possible through your hips. So when you really think it's like a torquing sensation, But a lot of the time when you see people twerking, they have got really good isolated movements, but they're doing it with momentum. So we want to try and think of a controlled torque. That's basically what the movement is.
All right. So I can feel it in like my, what is it, pelvic floor thing, but not so much my back. So I'm just in my back.
Maybe start with the peanut on your lower back as well. So when you put the peanut on your lower back, right here, you want to lie on it and then just picture those windshield wipers with the legs again. So if I were to put the peanut right underneath here, it's underneath me, and I would just keep my legs here, and I would start by doing this. If you do a little bit of this every single day, that way you feel like you can actually put the weight through one side of you'll feel a lot more tension through one peanut first, and then you change to the other side. And the more you start moving through it, it's like the muscles want to spasm up at first when it's uncomfortable, but after time and like consistency, it will start to slowly ease out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, got it. Thanks.
No problem. Claude's question? Ask away. I know you do.
Can you show us a controlled lumbar spine twerk?
No, because you're throwing me under the bus here. I'm not doing that. Real question.
Or can Bender show us his full split? He's looking pretty good there.
Hey Ben, Claude is asking if you can show that your full split. You said they said you're looking really good. Your splits. They said your splits is looking really good. So can you show them? No. He's not doing for you guys.
Yeah. No, I got no real questions, mate.
How's your hip feeling actually after all that?
It's pretty sore, right?
Which
from
part?
the running this morning though.
Yeah. Don't blame me.
Here? No, it was just like at the end bit of the running. It's just all on the side. It's quite like tender.
Does it feel really achy?
Yeah, like super achy. So I think I'm gonna go see Toto.
Yeah. Try. Remember in these ones, lean more back. So maybe even have 2 closed triangles rather than 90-90, because even in this one alone, you'll start to feel the pulling sensation through the hip.
Yeah.
Is that hitting the spot or is it more outside?
Nah. Yeah, it's right in there.
Okay, so then the other part is once you're in there, get a trigger point. So literally put your thumb into where it's sore, but go slightly off of it so that you have more flesh. Then as you get to there, I would actually move through this rotation.
Oh.
Yeah. So you want to hit the trigger point, but don't go directly to the pain source. You go around it because everything else has gone into a spasm, often to protect the injury. And you've had this issue for a long, long time. But sometimes even just in this position, as my butt cheek is off the ground, I'm actually going to dig my thumb into there, and I can feel like, oh, that's not a very nice spot to be in. And I would still work just that, like a smaller range.
Okay.
See if that, I mean, I think you still need to get seen to for it, but at least that'll help provide temporary relief, and your hips will feel a bit more open.
Yeah, I'll do something with them now. Thanks, mate.
No worries. Okay, a call. That's a good one for you too, actually.
What is that muscle? Was that hip flexor?
Kind of more TFL. So your tensor fascia lata, but it links up with your IT band. It depends. I mean, it's hard when it comes to palpation. Usually it's like this region, but because again, our muscle sizes are all different across the board. Hip flexors tend to be the ones that sit more in the front of the hip, whereas the abductors are what's on the outside. And when it comes to your TFL and your IT band, it's kind of like it's literally a band that runs up the side, right? And there are arguments to say that actually it's not like the TFL, you can see there's a muscle belly, but you can't really see the IT band as a muscle. It's just different arguments out there. But with that one, I find that often hitting, if you get people with runner's knee as well, when people have tension through their knees, not only releasing the lower, the IT band, which people always say to go roll out, I've actually found it's a lot more effective to loosen up through here with the foam roller or the peanut or whatever trigger you're doing first. But remember, it's here, it's slightly behind it, and it's also slightly in front, because it's not just this region. You kind of have to think of it as like a wrapping all around it, and that will eventually help release some of the tension that then pulls into here. Oh, where's that dog coming from? But yeah, so definitely just think of really loosening through the outer part, like the outer shell of the hip, and that often releases tension through the outer knees. and sometimes even the inner knees. But if it comes to inner knee issues, then you would want to come a little bit more on the medial side. But I mean, everything's connected. So the more that you move through it and the more that you roll, basically you want to roll from head to toe, but not everyone's going to do that. Yeah.
You know the actual bone, like the hip bone there, is there like a muscle or something that runs like on top of it?
There are loads of muscles that actually cross bony landmarks. So with the bony landmarks, are you talking about like the front of the hip? Are you talking about the top of the hip? Are you talking about
like oh, you can't see me.
Just the camera.
Like the side bit. Hold on.
So you've got like your handles, right? Is that more like the handle area?
Yeah, like there.
Okay. So you've got your iliac crest here. It's easier with a diagram, but basically the top part here, which is like the side of the pelvis, it's your iliac bone. So often what happens, I mean, you've got the iliacus, you've got the deeper hip muscles, you've got the superficial muscles that sit on top of it. It's not as simple as saying which muscle is it, because it could be any layer of the muscles. But when you know that if it's a deep one, which is actually more of the pain that you experience, I feel like it's probably something that you cannot palpate to release. That's why massage and stuff don't help for you. So needles will probably be a next best option. The second thing is with exercise, when we do the joint cars, learning to go from deeper out often will help it, but you need to have the regular practice for that. And that's often why I think last time you did the hip mobility, the hips end up feeling better, but there still is that one sore spot. I don't know if you ever have like a before and after kind of measurement for yourself, but if you start working into abduction too much, you might also be tightening up through the outside. So I would actually think of what comes opposite to it, and that would actually be more hip flexor for you, because if it's the iliacus, that this is the iliac bone, you have to think of what's on the other side of the bone, as opposed to like a pigeon stretch for a glute stretch versus an internal rotation. So I would actually think more it's deep, possibly deep hip flexor. This is no right or wrong, don't quote me on this, but I would maybe try to do more crossbody stretches in my hip flexor position. So if I'm doing my hip flexor stretch here, where say it's my left hip and I'm feeling the pain into that area that you said there, instead of just coming into a regular hip flexor stretch this way, I would probably actually turn this foot in.
Yeah, that's when I feel it.
Yeah. And then I would actually then add in this lateral bend here, because I'm getting all in through here. The other option is then to actually turn the foot outwards and see how that feels as well. If that changes, because I think the straight line just doesn't quite do it for you, because you're probably stretching the same thing over and over again. But again, if you're trying to picture how to actually move it, that here is internally that there is internally rotating the hip. So it's allowing you to access through here as you're putting down. Likewise, you're externally rotating, so you're allowing everything to come back in there. So playing with the line of your stretches is probably more important first, because all the relief that you get through needles and stuff will be temporary at the start, but you'll still need to find a way to manage it. So you like complement it with the right exercises. But I think finding out what is wrong with it and where it's coming from is the first step.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Carl. See you next week. Next week is hips.
Cool.
That wasn't hips.
That was spine and hamstring. But hips is going to be more focal on the rotational stuff again. It just makes it hard. I just keep making it harder each week. Yeah, like the leg lifts.
Yes, it's gone.
It's getting more and more. Yeah, I was gonna say the idea is so that, because those of you who are doing it regularly, it's actually the same few names, which is awesome. And I've had a lot of people say that they want to go back and see some of the old stuff. And yeah, I'm okay with that. But they're realizing that there's a progression and it's not the same program every single time, because I mean, what's the point in coming back, right? So I want to provide more and more that you can learn more about the body and be able to do it on your own as well. Yeah. Same old stuff.
Yeah, and then when we do it ourselves, we do the basics and advanced as we see fit. As
you actually get better at it too. Yeah, you just have to continue to master the basics. The more you can master the controlled ranges of motion in through like your cars. That's why I keep putting cars at the start of sessions, because I want people to get used to knowing that that's how I warm up every single day. not even as like a workout. It's like my first thing in the morning. I try to do my morning cars. And if I don't do it first thing in the morning, I do it in the middle of the day or the end of the day. But at some point during the day, I'm doing it so that my joints can get enough nutrients being pushed into it through blood flow, through movement. And if I don't do that, there are different things that you can do, like do your yoga classes and all of that as well. But I find a lot of that is quite linear. And so you might get stretches and you still feel good. But the one thing that I find that really helps me, especially with like the joint, well, all my past injuries, is the one thing is actually carving out that joint space is what really helps me with managing my pain. And I try not to, like my shoulder, I'm just lazy with, but I need to do more of it. So yeah.
When you do cars, you do shoulder, hip.
Shoulders and hips are my
Okay.
priorities that I do daily, but also spine. So spine, shoulders, and hips. And that's how I've tried to break up the three, like the sessions as well, is to emphasize the importance of that, because you can have really controlled hips and shoulders, but if you don't know how to move your spine, you're kind of like in the same place from day one. I would actually start with spine, if anything, and then move out across from there.
What's a hip? What's a spine car?
Just the segmented cat-cow that we did just now, but
Okay.
every small movement. So it's super slow, but if you can picture closing your eyes and then moving the tailbone first. Okay, move just the tailbone 5 times. Okay, now I want just my belly button region. Okay, so you're breaking the entire spine up into multiple segments. Try to control each multiple segment before you then go into, okay, like we did at the start there, I linked it all together to make the full one and then all the way back out. It's like a fancy way of saying cat cow, but I think now if you go back to other classes that you're used to, whenever classes can start up again, I think you might start to see people kind of just cat, cow, cat, cow. There's actually no spinal wave, but the spinal wave is what we want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, sometimes they like hint at it, but they don't really explain it.
Yeah, it's hard to in a class setting. I feel unless it's your focus, because for them it's a warm up, right? It's not really, we're not looking at spinal mobility, we're just warming your whole body up. So
Yeah. I used to do like yoga every day, but then my shoulder was just killing me.
Probably because you're doing a lot of down dogs, chaturanga, it's all the vinyasa stuff, right? I think that I find it quite hard. If I do too many vinyasas, my shoulders feel it too. Too many push-ups, my body feels it too. I need to keep balancing it out. And that's why I find that making my own is actually sometimes better, just because I know enough from yoga that I can put sequences together. They might not be nearly as structured as what a class would be like, but I'm doing what my body needs at the time. And then I'll do another 2 classes separately outside of that just to learn more. But yeah.
Got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining as always. See you next week for hips.
See you later.
You're still here.
Yeah, I was like, can I go out?
Bye.
Bye.
See you.